Okay, so far so good. Let's see what's happening here. So we've got a new live. Let's see what's happening. Yet again. Okay. All right. I don't know who's still with me after this fiasco. Um, but if this stays on, we can read some stories. If not, I'll try again later. Hey, hey. Um, I need to tell everybody some bad news first. So I don't know if I just want to blurt it out. Hey, tall guy, 32. I saw a few more people were on the other ones. Hey, um, I don't know who all is gonna see. A few people already know. So I just want to get something bad out of the way first. If you can still hear me. So far, it seems like the stream's going really smoothly. So knock on my head, which is made of wood, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really surprised that anyone's on here at all. I haven't, I've been hesitating to get on live because someone that joined us regularly on live streams for quite a while, everybody knew Tank. And so I guess you would probably know what I will say next is he is no longer with us. And I don't want to put a damper on your afternoon or the live stream, but I feel like you guys should all know someone that you converse with this person regularly. And one of the bad things about knowing people through the internet is that you know them, but you don't really know them. Um, I never knew Tank's real name, um, but sometimes him and or I would talk to each other on Twitter along with Xena. And in October, I think October 6th, he had tweeted that he wasn't doing well, and if the doctors weren't happy with how he was doing, they were going to induce a coma so that his body could focus on healing. And he never came out of it. I found this out because after Xena and I both messaged him on Twitter to make sure he was all right after a couple of weeks of no response, no tweets, nothing. His sister sent me a message saying that he passed away peacefully in his sleep on a Saturday morning in October. You will be happy to know that his sister took his cat, Smokey. So Smokey has been taken care of. Um, she was supposed to message me back with a memorial, but she never did. And then once Twitter got taken over by its new CEO, I just got rid of it. So I don't have Twitter anymore. So I didn't want to make you guys sad, but I just felt like it would feel it. I just felt like it would seem so wrong or feel wrong to come back on live stream too soon because it would be fairly, it would feel different. And yeah, me too. I'm really glad that his sister took his cat. I always worry about that when people have pets and they pass away. I really hope that there's someone willing to take care of their animals. And I didn't want to put a damper on your afternoon, and I didn't want to make anyone sad. Um, and again, it's so hard because you get to know people kind of well, but then we don't really know people. So it feels there's like this disconnect that feels kind of cold. So, hmm, I wish I could have done more for Tank. Um, it's not like he asked anyone for help, really. Um, I just feel bad. So it's been several months now, or I guess, let's see, October, November, December, January. It's now February. So I felt you guys should know that. But that's not why I'm on here. I wanted to make sure that my equipment was up and running so we can get some live streams going. Um, Anyone that's a Patreon, I just uploaded 3 audios to Patreon. There's a bunch of backlogged audio that needs to go up to Patreon or go on to Patreon, but I don't want to bombard people and then they miss out on audio because there's just so much all of a sudden there. I have kind of a crazy idea about seeing if we can get a live stream streak going, but I also know that people like uploaded videos. So I'm going to try and do a mix of both as long as it doesn't become overwhelming. I think I've compartmentalized my day in an appropriate way where it won't seem overwhelming. Well, you're very kind, Tenzin. I don't know. I don't know about how you guys, but when somebody passes away, I'm even if you don't know them on a personal level, because this feels personal, but then again, it's like we don't know each other in real life. So it seems like there's a mild disconnect with that. And it seems unfair, kind of, It happens with the latency. So far, it seems pretty good, though, so far. I've got something on my screen. I don't know how to get it off. Let's see here. I did save some stories, so I'll let you guys decide what you want to hear, okay? Let me get to it just a second here. All right. You guys will have to let me know how many of you are on TikTok, who are regular connoisseurs of TikTok. Okay, I finally got that thing off my screen. That was driving me crazy. Okay. All right, let me see here. I have a few things saved on. Do you guys want to hear a creepypasta? Or do you want to hear like true crime? Or just ghost stories or literally anything? You'll have to let me know because I have a few different things set aside. I was scrolling through Reddit yesterday and today, and I saw a few things that I thought were interesting. There's an entire stalking subreddit, and it's about people who have had people stalking them. The last time I spoke with Margbot was either she commented on a video of mine or hers, or through Twitter. But I don't see. I have thousands of subscriptions on YouTube, and I really need to minimize them. But I haven't heard from her in a while. I had a reason for asking about TikTok, and now I can't remember why. Squirrel. Okay. Let's see here. There's what's this say? Stalkers have a mental illness. Oh, somebody tried to start a conversation about that. Hold on a second. I had a few things saved. Paranormal was a good one. Her channel has gone quiet. It's hard though because when you really enjoy this and then you see so many people excel, you can't compare yourself to anyone. If you ever do start a YouTube channel, and it doesn't matter what kind, or if you start any kind of social media where you're trying to build yourself up, number one, I would be much further along, or I don't want to say successful because I think that's fleeting, and success, if that's what you define yourself as or whatever, it's different to everybody else. So when you make a video and then no one sees it, or you really, really enjoy something and like two people watch it, that becomes disheartening. Or if you just don't have time for it, because it can be quite consuming. Once you get a system down, like once you start, like if you are, let's say you make a woodworking video or something like that, and you're probably going to need more than one camera to do this. I'm just giving a example. One that's from the side, probably one, and then from above. So you can have two different angles, which is going to take a long time to edit. And you did this consistently, like once a week, it would build up. Consistency is probably the second hardest. The first is getting your groove, your niche, and fine tuning how you make your content, whatever it is. So, I saw that you commented that too, and I did start writing a story right afterwards. They used to flow right out of me. She took a cool interview between her and Mr. Scarecrow. That was so good. Yeah, she did used to do a lot of interviews. I would like to see her do more interviews, actually. So, Markbot, if you're listening, do some more interviews. Actually, I'd like to see her maybe slide into some political interviews. Yeah, I could talk about the state of our country for hours, but I think one of the things that I and probably you all need is to escape reality, and that's why we're here. Um, yeah, fun. That was really fun. It was easier to do things like that before Google took the. You used to be able to do Google Chat and then do a live stream from that, and it was super easy to do that on YouTube. And then they changed it, and now you can't do that anymore. And I don't understand why people fix things that aren't broken, because that was an amazing feature. Early on in YouTube, we used to go online and play Cards Against Humanity because there's a website that you can do it anonymously, and it was hilarious. If you ever get to play Cards Against Humanity, I highly recommend. We just got an Office extension for a Christmas present, so I'm really looking forward to playing that. All right, so let's see. I'm going to give you guys a few choices, and you can tell me what you want to hear. Let's see. I'm in the paranormal subreddit, so we've got that. But then we've also got, let's see, real life ghost stories. 17 notorious ghosts and their intensely horrific origin stories. The Ed and Lorraine's strangest cases ever, spookiest real ghost stories, vicious real hauntings, ghosts more friendly than scary, no, boring, backstories behind famous hauntings. I'm looking for that. Game? What game? Oh, Cards Against Humanity. Wow. If you ever get to play the game, What Do You Meme? My throat's a little sore, so you can already tell. But if you ever get to play the game, What Do You Meme? The last time we played that, I hysterically laughed for probably 2 straight hours because it was just so funny. Um, I'm trying to get a adult game night going between my friends and I. It's harder than you think for grown-ups to get together. I know you really have to plan it out. Anyway. Let's see. Backstories behind famous hauntings. Does anybody have an opinion? Hey, we could all meet in real life and only 3 things would happen. Scary stories, nothing, good times. Oh boy. No one would think I'm scary anymore because I'm a dork. If my husband gets to chime in, which I don't know, he's busy. He's working outside today, and I begged him to stay home today because it's too cold here. I think it's like 10 degrees, but the wind chill was 1. I'm one of those people. I'd much rather have people stay home when it's cold than, try and tough it out. No, just stay home. Okay, this says 10 degrees, but it's colder than that. I think this might be, so far, is this the coldest day in Michigan of the year? I don't even know. Okay, anyway, does anybody have an opinion on what they want to hear? Or do you want me to just start reading? Also, if this doesn't shut itself off, you could never work outside. Just set a time in the future and tell them to show up, and you do. The detective one? Oh, really? Not even in 40-degree temps? I could handle 40-degree temps myself. Um, but it's hard manual labor. He's a master plumber. If that's like the detective one. I don't think I had a detective one, did I? Ooh, I wonder if there is a detective one though. Let's look it up. My friend and I thought we wanted to it's 10 here, but it's the wind chill was 1 or something like that. The best fictional detectives. Ooh, subreddit. Let's go to subreddit. Sorry, I had some things in mind and it took me so long to get the live stream to work that I lost my train of thought. It used to like throw me in a tizzy when the live stream didn't work, but now I'm like, well, everybody that comes to the live streams is pretty chill, so um they know. You know. Ex boss. I'm trying to find some somebody said something about detectives, so now I'm looking for private detective stories. Unless you guys have something you're recommending, then go for it. Yeah, I'm looking for that. My friend and I have talked about doing our own opening our own private investigative, whichever business. But in my state, oh, in Michigan, it's $5,000, and I don't know if it's for the company as a whole or per person. So you can do it unlicensed, but you're gonna get like roadblocks to getting information if you're not licensed. Like if you're licensed, you can go into, I believe, don't quote me on that, on this, but I believe if you're a licensed private detective, you can get access to more information than you would if you're not. Of course, her and I are both extremely nosy and we can find stuff very easily without that. So, oh no. Yeah, it is. But if you're confident that you're going to make that money right back, then you can do that. All right, so let's see. I'm not seeing oh, here we go. Is there a subreddit? Tales from the squad car. Ooh. Okay. Hey Tenzin, I just found Tales from the squad car, and these are detective police officer stories. So let's dive in. All right. Buy a drink, I'll assault you. Oh my goodness. I wonder if there's probably going to be some confessions of bad cops. Hey, tall guy. Yeah, thanks for stopping in. There's only 2 people here now. Hey, who let the Dutch out? Who? If anybody's watching this back and you don't click on the little chat thing to go back and see what we were talking about at the time I said that, just know that Peter Wilson said who let the Dutch out, and so I felt like I should sing it. Anyway, Peter, I don't know if you were here a few minutes ago when I did give everybody some bad news, and I don't want to bring everybody back down again. However, I'm afraid that you might be the last person who was in the chats regularly that doesn't know that Tank is no longer with us. He did unfortunately pass away in October. I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm looking down these. We're reading from the subreddit Tales from the Squad Car. Yes. His sister did take his cat, Smokey. And I did say, unfortunately, we know each other in here, but none of us really know each other in real life. And so there's a disconnect of properly being able to say goodbye to people when you don't know them in real life. So, but I thought that everybody that comes here regularly should know that. All right. We are going to read from the subreddit. If you have any other questions, you'll watch it back when it's over? Okay. So this is called Tales from the Squad Car subreddit, posted by Bambi Bitch. Suspect game warden, I'll make you a deal. I took that deal. My friend did not. So I have no idea what this is going. We're going into this story completely blind. And keep in mind these people are not authors, and so if I sound like I'm reading it wrong, I'm just reading it as it's typed. So here we go. I was at a state park fishing. We had picked up what we felt was a remote spot as we wanted to fish and smoke a little bit of weed. This was years before weed laws were as progressive as they are now. Well, a game warden found us, and I don't know if you know about game wardens, but if you're on a state park, the game warden doesn't need probable cause to search you. They don't need your consent. They are law enforcement. My buddy and I were both very much aware of this rule. We'd been smoking. We heard a guy approaching us, and we just threw the joint into the water. The game warden comes up and goes, "Having a good time fishing?" I say, "Yes, sir." And he says, "Staying under the limit?" And I say, "That's awfully easy when you're not catching anything." He laughs and then says, "So the reason I came by here is because I smelled weed, and having drugs or alcohol on your person in a state park is a crime. I guess it depends on the park." I'm thinking, shit, let's try to reason my way out of this. So I say, "And what makes you think it's us?" He says, "Because you're the only people here, and deer don't smoke pot." To which I thought, fair point. So the game warden said, "I'm going to make you a deal." I say, "Okay." And he says, "I'm going to search you. And if I find anything illegal, I'm going to confiscate it, and you're going to need to leave the park right away, and you can't come back for a month. Also, I won't charge you with anything." Truth be told, we had no intentions of returning anytime soon. Also, I knew he didn't need my permission to search me, so I figured I might as well take the deal and hope he's telling the truth. Now, the joint we had smoked my buddy was carrying, I still had my joint. So I agreed. My buddy was like, "Bro, he's lying." And I say, "Well, if he is, it doesn't matter." So the cop finds my joint, rips it up, throws it in the water, and looks at my buddy and says, "Your turn." And my buddy says, no, you can't search me. And the game warden says, yes, I can. So my buddy turns and runs. One problem with running, which FYI I had thought of. It was really slippery to get out of there, so I figured even if I attempted to run, I wouldn't get far. But my buddy didn't think that far ahead. So he ran, and then he slipped. He got cuffed, and then he got searched. The cop found a half a pint of whiskey we were going to share. My friend was also underage, and so was I. So the game warden arrests my friend. The game warden says, well, all right, I'll take you back to my station, and you can call your folks. So the game warden puts my friend in the back of the car, and I sit up front. We get to the station. My friend is holding up a cell, and I say, hey, so what do I do? The game warden goes, you can use the office phone to call your folks to come pick you up. And I say, what about my friend? And the game warden says, he's going to have to wait for me to process him, but you're free to go. So I say, really? And the game warden says, a deal is a deal. You're banned for a month, though, so don't let me catch you back here. I agree. I call my parents. My dad comes and gets me. My dad asks the game warden what happened, and the game warden said he caught my friend doing something wrong, but I was good to go and just needed a ride home. My friend ended up being charged as a minor with possession of alcohol, breaking some state park regulations, banned from all state parks for a year, and had to attend an alcohol and drug class. Thankfully, we were under 18, and that record won't follow him anywhere. I personally didn't come back to the park for a good 4 or 5 months, and when I did, the game warden saw me and asked how I was. I said fine, and asked how he was. Later, my friend was like, why did you trust him? Cops can lie. And I said, I know they can lie. I also knew I didn't have a choice. Well, that wasn't very exciting. The game warden probably pulled a fast one and acted like he ripped it up, but sleight of hand, kept it for himself. Abracadabra. I'm going to smoke some ganja. I thought that was going to rhyme in my head, but it didn't. Oh my gosh. I don't know. These aren't very good, are they? Maybe I should look up like hold on a second. Let me see if this one has like a different thing has officer stories. Let me see here. Famous police officers. Real police officers describe their creepiest unsolved cases. Ooh, let's do that one. Does that sound good? So we've got Tenzin here. Who else is here? Because Peter left, tall guy left. It does? Okay, I'm glad. Let's see. We'll read these ones. I'm just doing this as a test today, so I'm just thankful that it seems to be running really smoothly. I'm really, really happy about that. Let's see. This is real police officers describe their creepiest unsolved cases. And I'm going to send this to myself in case for some reason this shuts down. So I send it to myself in Messenger. That way if I lose my spot, boom, I can go right back to it. Okay. Number 1. The morning he left his glasses at home. You're going to have to tell me if we've read these before, so. Oh, I thought you said you were going to listen to it. I'll watch the live stream back when it's over. I thought you left, Peter. I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you were saying. Let's see. So if you guys have heard these, you're going to have to let me know, but I don't think I've read these before. And if I had, it's been so long that I don't remember. So here we go. I was in a junior police academy, and one of the cops told us about the call they got a while back. And this is true. No joke. I'll tell it like a story with the details that I know. A wife and husband had just recently got married and everything was fine and dandy. They were just working toward their American dream. House, white picket fence, 3 cars, 2.5 kids, you know. Anyway, the husband and wife wake up one day and go about their usual routine. The husband kisses his wife goodbye and heads off for work. Nothing strange. Except the wife notices the husband left his glasses. which she knew he really needed for work. So she tries calling him. He doesn't pick up. She figures, what the heck, I'm not doing anything today. So she decides to drop his glasses off to him at work. His work wasn't that far anyway. So she gets in the car and heads off to her husband's work. But as she's driving, she sees a car pulled off on a dirt road and recognizes that it's her husband's car. So she pulls off the main road and down the dirt a bit to see if she sees her husband. Sure enough, she sees him standing off to the side of the road a bit. She gets out of the car and calls out his name. He turns his head to look at her, lights a match, and instantly catches fire. The cops showed us a picture of his body ablaze in the fetal position, all charred. And they never found out why he did it. Oh my gosh. No, I've never read this before because I would distinctly remember that. Hey, see ya, tall guy. I'll leave it up so you can listen to it later if you want to. My stuttering and all, and my inevitable distractions. Wow. I don't think, if I've read that before, I've completely forgotten about it. So just, number 2. They got the corpse wrong. I'm going to read who posts them again. This is posted by Blobby Pow. So the other one was posted from a deleted user, but this is from Blobby Pow. My mother was a detective who told me this one day. An elderly man who hasn't seen his daughter in a year was reading the newspaper, and in one of the pictures he sees his daughter in the street. He hires a private investigator who finds her. They talk and she recognizes him, and the DNA matched out, etc. Here's the clincher. The reason he hadn't seen his daughter in a year is because she passed from leukemia. They dug up the corpse and discover it's a man who had a heart attack and not his daughter. There's pictures, medical records, and the girl in the photo has no recollection of a week before being diagnosed, but remembered for some reason she wasn't allowed to contact the family. They never found the girl's body. They knew who the man was. Found out where the girl had been, and the hospital has no records of the doctor who treated the girl. That is a very confusing story, the way that was written. So if you guys can mentally wrap your head around that, it seems like someone told everybody that she died, but she didn't know it, or she didn't remember that she was even sick. I don't know. That's confusing. Anyway, moving on, because I can't even understand that. Number 3. It looks like this was posted by Lao Z. A mother cooked dinner from the afterlife? It was my uncle who used to be a cop in Hong Kong. He was patrolling the street on his own and received a smell complaint from an apartment building nearby. So he reached the location and met the person who made the complaint and found out where the smell was coming from. He rang the doorbell, and a little girl opened the door. As soon as the door was opened, he knew someone had passed. The little girl was about 5 or 6 years old. My uncle was informed that there was only one little girl and her grandmother living in the apartment. They were immigrants from China. My uncle walked into the apartment and noticed that there was a freshly made meal. He went to the room where the smell was coming from and found the woman's body. My uncle was puzzled by the freshly made meal because the little girl was not tall enough to reach the stove and countertop. It also puzzled him that a little girl could cook. Chinese food is pretty complex in their recipes. When my uncle asked the little girl who made this, she said it was her mother. Later he found out that the little girl's mother passed from a stroke about a week ago. So let me get this straight. The little girl's grandma died recently, but the mother passed a week before? I don't know. I have another stream coming, not related to horror, but I'll say it just in case. French Fried Girl, a reaction channel. If you want to make sense of today, listen back. She has covered the other girl a lot. Huh? She has covered the other girl a lot? I'm confused. Okay. Number 4. A campus legend might be true. From Redditor Spartan337. I work for a university police department. One night we had a call about some kids dicking around in one of the old shut down dorms they were trying to renovate. Me and my buddy get there and search the building. It was just 3 stories, so it didn't take us long to find these kids trying to have what I guess you could call a ghost hunt. They were on the 3rd floor of the building in an old dorm with cameras and everything. So I asked what they're doing. And they said there was a story about a girl who met her demise in the dorms and they wanted to record her voice on tape. Neither my buddy or I believe in ghosts, so we just laughed at them. I start calling in their information while my buddy was walking around the hall outside. Suddenly, we hear this blood-curdling scream coming from down the hall. My buddy goes to check it out and asks the kids if they had another friend. They said no. I call for my buddy on the radio and he doesn't answer. So I grab the kids and we go down the stairs opposite of where my buddy had gone and I get them outside. I tried calling my buddy again once I got the kids outside and he didn't answer. So I went in looking for him. Kept all the kids' IDs in case they booked it. I found him on the 1st floor shining his flashlight down into the basement. When I walked up on him, he just looked at me and said, "I heard footsteps down there." I told him we should go search it together. He told me no, and that he had just been down there, and there was no one. We got outside and called for backup because my radio didn't work in the building. Got a couple more guys to search the building, but didn't find anything. It still creeps me out to think about it. She will be reacting to a girl that she has reacted to before. Okay, it's better than reality. The girl went to Kuwait to marry a stranger who supposedly wants citizenship. Isn't that what the whole premise is of most of those people? That like 90 Day Fiance or whatever. Do you think that any of the people from like 90 Day Fiance or any of those shows are actually in love? I mean, I'm pretty sure. I feel like everyone would fare better if they were just honest about what was going on. Anyway, number 5, Strange Lights. From a deleted user. About 4 years ago, I was working in the dispatch desk. Around 11 p.m., I received a call from a resident that stated he had just seen 6 diamond-shaped objects fly over his house at only a couple hundred feet, making no noise and had mirrors of thousands of lights glowing from underneath. No big deal, I think. Another crazy calling in. But he prefaced his whole call by saying, "Listen, I'm not nuts. I know you guys get calls from crazy people, but I'm not one of them. I have this on video, and my entire family saw it." He gave me their appropriate height, their travel direction, and times. It was weird, and it sounded crazy, but there was something about it that sounded different. So I decided to dispatch someone out and check this guy out, and more importantly, to see the video. So the officer goes out, sees the video, and writes a report. He comes back to the station, and I jokingly say as soon as he walks in, "So how crazy are they over there?" And with a straight face, he says, "That was something." I had to then call the nearest military base and ask to speak to a supervisor at their flight control center. I gave her the time and area it occurred, and she stated that nothing had been in that grid for hours. then feeling like a complete smacked ass. I had to tell them that I had to report a UFO. They took the information and I faxed them a copy of the report and they said they'd look into it. I didn't think anything of it for 2 years since we only got that one phone call and hadn't heard anything about it. Sure enough, though, 2 years later, I had a friend going through my countrywide training who called me and asked if I had been the one who dispatched that call. When I said yes and told him the story, he explained that at his training, they had gone over how to handle unusual events and calls, and that my dispatch had been played and he recognized the voice. He told me that later that night, that exact report was called in over 6 times throughout the county in various areas. To this day, I have no idea what those lights were. The investigation was out of our hands. That's crazy. Has anybody on here love the candles? Yeah. Has anybody seen a UFO? I thought I've seen one before, but it's hard to say unless you have like access to, like, you know how people, well, I'm not going to say TikTok, but usually when you see things posted by people and then it's multiple people that post it, if that's not how, like if you just see something in the sky, how would you find out if other people's just saw something in the sky? Because they all report it, but what if whoever they're reporting it to doesn't report it to like a valid source where people can check it? I don't know. There's probably a website. You did? That's cool. What did it look like, Tenzin? You can type it out and I'm going to read the next one. Number 6 is suspected cult activity. Dun dun dun. Deleted user. My old religion teacher used to be a detective here in Aussieland. Weirdest story we ever got out of him was about an abandoned church which they got called out to. The place was just covered in blood. The walls, the floor, the ceiling in parts was just painted with it. He said that there was so much blood that it would have taken to have been from at least 6 or 7 people. They never found any bodies or anything of the like. It was related to a cult that they were chasing, but as far as that particular story goes, he said that there was never any closure or any answer for him. Yikes. Number 7, possible X-file. This is from Redditor Investigate This. We get a call that a body has been found inside an apartment. We arrive at the apartment located in a nicer part of town and find it empty. No furniture, only the deceased who rented the place and a few personal belongings. He was fairly young, mid to late 20s maybe, and looked in decent enough shape. No signs of a struggle save for a small drop of high-velocity blood splatter on the wall behind him and no apparent injuries to the guy. When the medical investigator arrived and did her examination, she found a small, round hole in the base of his head, near the bottom of his hairline. It looked smaller than a .22-sized hole, and there was no bleeding, even after moving the body. None of the neighbors heard any noise the previous night, nor had any of them seen him in several days. Nothing appeared overtly suspicious in the case. I tried to follow it after, but it was all forgotten due to current cases. Never found out what was up with the hole in his neck, or what made it. Last I heard, it was still unsolved, classified as unexplained. Ooh. You know what I just pictured, though? Like a puncture wound. Because they didn't say they found a .22 bullet or whatever, but it was a .22 size hole. What if it was like a puncture wound from a needle? Anyway, 3 viewers. I hope you guys are still here because I don't see any alerts from my live stream software. So hopefully you're still here. Number 8. This is posted by Mr. Macaroni. An inexplicable delusion. Strangest story I heard from a police officer colleague. A young woman's parents found her body in a chair at the dining room table where she had shot herself in the head. There was a letter on the table from Steven Tyler saying he was breaking up with her. Turns out she had told her mother that she was in a new relationship with someone for the past couple of months, but he lived far away, so they exchanged letters. At first, it was unexplained, and detectives thought that someone had tricked her because obviously she wasn't dating Steven Tyler. But then detectives found a box of letters, both the ones sent to her and the ones she sent to Steven Tyler, in a box in her room. All of them were addressed to her house, and they determined were all written by her in different handwriting. So essentially, she fatally shot herself after breaking up with herself through a letter she wrote to herself. Whoa. 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 That I don't want to call that situation is crazy. I can just imagine when people figured that out, how long they sat there with their jaw hanging open, realizing what they just discovered. So, you guys understood that, right? Like, what? That's so sad. I wonder if she had any, like, hint of mental illness before. Oh, man. Number 9. The Case of the Haunted Attic. Dun dun dun. Posted by Meatheaded. Guy calls police because the light in his attic has suddenly come on. I check it out and the attic entry is covered in cobwebs. Nobody's been up there. I get a ladder and climb up to find it's an old bulb with a string pull activation. I look around the attic and find nothing. Just switch off the light. The guy says he's been living there for years alone, and the lights never come on. He's never even gone up there. So I ask him about some boxes of clothes directly beneath the attic opening, and he says they belong to someone who just passed, and he put them there tonight. Ooh, dun dun dun. Yeah, isn't that crazy? This one's number 10. The Phantom Canine, posted by Revenant 1015. Not exactly a case per se. Luckily, most of mine have been pretty cut and dry. But this one does haunt me. Following an exceptionally lousy and frustrating night, mostly comprised of dealing with some of the most worthless people I had ever come across, as I'm heading in to finish up my paperwork and clock out, I get flagged down by a lady that says she lost her dog. She's really distraught. She looks absolutely exhausted from crying. She said that this morning when she opened the front door to pick up her newspaper, the dog just took off through the door. Kept running until he was out of sight. She said she got the dog, a medium-sized yellow mutt named Rue, after her husband passed about 8 years ago. Now I see why she's so upset. So I ask her where she last saw him, what he looks like, if he's got tags, etc. And I'm thinking, after all I've been through and dealt with tonight, finally there's an opportunity to actually help someone, and I need this. I put it out over the radio and start looking. After about an hour of nothing, my sergeant checks me over the radio and says, I need to come in and talk to him before the shift is over. Reluctantly, I start heading back. Wouldn't you know it, on my way back, I spot the dog. I grab my bag of beef jerky, hop out, and start towards him, using all the friendly dog beckoning techniques I know of. He trots away from me, stops, looks back. I approach. He trots away again, stops, looks back. We do this for about 4 blocks. I ask dispatch to call the owner. Tell her I found Rue, but I can't get him to come back to me. I had another officer try to head him off a few blocks up. We keep going another couple blocks until I spot another officer. Rue sees him too. The dog stops and sits. I approach slowly, beef jerky in hand. I get within about 10 feet of him, and he takes off running to my left. I follow at a jog, not wanting to scare him. He rounds a corner. I round the same corner. And he's just gone. The owner showed up shortly afterward, and I told her what happened and apologized. She's crying again. She says it's okay, she'll keep looking. I gave her my personal cell phone number. That's usually ill-advised, and told her that if she needed anything to call me. I went home feeling pretty low. Now the worst part. This was about 2 years ago. And since then, I've seen this dog about once every 3 weeks. Never when there's a possibility I might be able to catch him, though. But always when I'm in the middle of something fairly dramatic. Once I was in a foot pursuit and passed him just sitting on a wooden pallet watching me. Another time, I'd just finished one of the longest fights of my career. I stand my arrestee up, and the dog is standing not 15 feet from me. He stands there for a minute, starts wagging his tail, and trots off. At first, I'd call the owner first chance I got and tell her where I spotted him. I don't do that anymore. I think she's given up, and I don't want to torture her with false hopes. Also, just to head this off, I'm not crazy. Other people have seen him too. Oh, poor doggy. Number 15 should be in Chill's voice. The UFO body looked like the shiny body of a fish, but just for a moment, and it is insanely fast. My gosh, I'm so jealous that you've seen that. I always want to see something weird and unusual. I need to channel that more correctly, because you know what? The only thing that I get that's weird and unusual is strangers tell me things I don't need or want to hear when I'm usually in a public place. I think I have a very trusting face, and that's why. I don't know why. This happens every time I go somewhere. Every time I go somewhere, people just tell me the randomest, craziest, oversharing stuff. And eventually I just break eye contact because they won't stop. Anyways. Number 50. Is there 15 stories here? I don't remember. There's more. You want me to wait till number 15? I can do it now if you want. Number 11. The answer is only theoretical. Posted from Redditor, 6 in the Sticks. Upon arriving on a call, we find a man in his 60s with half of his face missing, a gunshot to the chest, and a .30-06 rifle next to him laying in the kitchen. In the living room, we find a female of the same approximate age, deceased with no visible injuries. In the backyard, we found a shotgun laying on the grass. Long story short, the man had attempted to shoot himself with a shotgun. It's not uncommon for people to try that to kill themselves with shotguns, too soon to realize that holding a shotgun under your chin and being able to reach the trigger is not an easy task. Okay, this one's bad, so I'll reread another one in Chill's voice after this. Due to the length of the shotgun, the man blew the front of his face off, but he didn't die. This one's really gross, and I'm really sorry for reading this. I was not aware. I went into these blind. I think I should start pre-reading the stories. He walked into the house where his wife saw his injuries. She went into cardiac arrest. The man then went to his bedroom, grabbed the high-powered rifle, and shot himself in the chest. Oh my goodness. What? All right, number 12. Number 12. He has seen too much. Posted from Redditor, a social antisocial. Someone requested I read this in Chill's voice, so I am. My uncle was a cop in Florida in the 90s. They were finding deceased kids by the interstate for maybe 5 years before my uncle retired. No suspects. Kids abducted within 100 miles or so. At the peak, it'd be one body every 2 months, but usually they found two a year. Never been solved. After he retired, evidence photos in some of those cases got destroyed in a flood. For like 10 years after my uncle's retirement, his department would call him when a similar case came through, so he'd produce the details for them. He stopped responding to those requests at some point. He said he wants to live the rest of his life without seeing another deceased child. Again, it's not funny because the story is super, super sad. Yeah, he does really slow. He does read really slow. I'm going to read this one in a Boston accent because I think it's more entertaining. 13. Is it really so cut and dry? From Reddit, friend of Pyrex. Let me see if it's Boston. I was a deputy sheriff for a short while, and I got put on courtroom duty for a murder case. The defendant allegedly murdered his, I don't know how to say, girlfriend, and then cut off his, oh no, his wah-wah to save them from demons. When I first heard about the case, I initially thought it was just another crazy person. However, once the trial started, it was obvious that this was just a psychopath who tortured a person who loved him and trusted him and then dismembered himself so he could plead insanity. And the way he looked at me, it was haunting. I guess I was never obsessed in the way you probably mean, since the case is over, and now he's in jail for the rest of his life. But it's not something I'll soon forget. I don't think that was very good, Boston. Girlfriend. I don't. I think I used to be able to do chills much better. I have not listened to one of his videos in a really long time, and now I'm going to after we get off live stream because I'm way out of practice. I wish I could do more accents. I think when I was younger I used to. Let's see, number 14, the parking lot. By the way, that last story I just read was phenomenally crazy if you were able to decipher it through the terrible, terrible accent. Number 14 is the parking lot, posted from Redditor, overt female username, former police dispatcher. That said, this wasn't something I was involved with, sorry. A lieutenant at my old department likes to tell the story of when he was a beat cop in northeastern Ohio in the 80s. They get a call of car parts floating in a lake. Fearing someone was trapped underwater, they called in a dive team who found 15 cars parked in a row, all from the 1950s era, about 25 feet below the surface. That's crazy. Due to water damage and rust, they appear to have been sitting there for quite some time. It appeared that when they were left there, they had been in perfect working order. All identification had been stripped off. The lake was natural and had been there forever. They never did figure out who put the cars there, how, or why. Whoa! Tenzin, you really boosted my confidence. Let me see, number 15. I don't know how many are here. I thought it was only 15 stories. It's not. Is it like 20? It's 21. Okay. And the 21st one's like really, really short. Let's see here. Number 15 is Doppelgangers from God of War. I used to work at a retirement home, and a retired federal agent told me this. In the very beginning of the 20th century, there were 9 robberies by a 2-man team in 5 counties in one day, all assumed to be the same 2 guys by eyewitness accounts. The exact same getaway car, guns, outfits, and ethnicity. The guys were caught, and this was an open and shut case, except for the fact that the robbers claimed they had only robbed 4 places that day, which seemed odd, so someone looked into the exact timings of the robberies and found that robbery number 4 took place only 10 minutes after robbery 3, and then 1 minute after robbery 5 happened. So they go back and interview the robbers about their discrepancy, and both robbers tell the same story, that they only robbed 4 places. That's the end of that story, but I feel like you really left out the rest of the story. Uh, who posted that? God of War. You owe us the other half of that story, sir or ma'am. Anyway, number 16 is expert identity theft. It's not a joke, Jim. From Redditor Lauren Mitchell. One of my colleagues has been working with the Social Security Administration to figure out the true identity of a Jane Doe who stole the name of a deceased 2-year-old, then changed her name to another fake name. Apparently, she was an expert. She stole the name of a baby born in Cali, then changed her name in Idaho and went to college in Texas. The more states you jump between, the less likely you are to get tripped up by state databases. But keep in mind she did this in the 80s, before you could simply Google identity theft. The family found all the evidence in a box labeled crafts in the back of her closet. She was twice removed from a person they thought she was. Was she running from an abusive relationship? Did she murder somebody? Was she in a cult? Again, that story really left us hanging there. Like, it didn't really resolve the story. But again, these are not authors. Number 17 is technically solved, but from Redditor Floating Bacon. Awesome. Awesome username. Floating Bacon. Ugh. I worked a case where a guy shot himself in the head twice. He was a terminal cancer patient, so I never suspected murder. The 3 possibilities are that the gun misfired. Muscle spasms after the first shot caused him to pull the trigger twice. Or it was a mercy killing by his spouse. In the end, I contacted our homicide unit, and they decided it was probably a misfire. Ew. I definitely could not mercy kill a family member. I just couldn't do it. There's just no way. In Canada, if there's anybody in Canada listening, they have medically assisted suicide is completely legal there. So I guess if you get like a terminal disease and there's no hope of you being cured, you can opt in to have medically assisted suicide. Thoughts? Chime in. Number 18, she turned herself in years later, but investigators didn't want to know. From a deleted user. I had been alerted to a well-known local philanthropist who turned up dead. These were the days when physician-assisted euthanasia was illegal in most of the developed world. This man, I had known him quite well and had been suffering from a very serious terminal illness that was going to kill him before his 40th birthday, shattering his family, especially his 2 young children. He was always donating to local charities. He gave a struggling single mother $25,000 at Christmas one year so she could pay off her debts, repair her car, buy food and presents for her children. An autopsy had determined that he had been murdered. Intentional overdose of morphine. The Health Authority and Department of Justice wanted us to investigate and bring the person who essentially murdered him to justice. We chalked it up that there would be no way we could ever determine who it was that killed him. Years later, his wife sent our department a letter saying she gave her husband the lethal dose to put him out of his misery. And I wish I had never known. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to know that either. Number 19. Where did he come from? Where did he go? Is this about Cotton Eye Joe? That song just went in my head. I don't know. Anyway, from Redditor Blue Harrigan. Had a guy report that he had been kidnapped and drugged against his will. He had managed to escape and had run across town to evade his captors. I was able to rendezvous with him and bring him back to the station. He told me this grand story about being taken across the county, and by people he thought were his family, no less. When I asked him their names and where he had been, where he'd been held, he got all sheepish and said he didn't want to make enemies and just wanted to go home. I started driving him toward his home and dropped him off at a gas station just outside my jurisdiction. What? That doesn't make any sense. Probably started really thinking about that. We only got 2 more to go, and the last one's really short. Let's see, number 20. They know who did it, and they don't care. Posted by Socialist Piggy. So just this past weekend, a guy's car was destroyed. A 2013 Chrysler 300. It was a decent car. Girl's name etched into both sides. All windows smashed. Huge rock through the sunroof. Massive, huge dent to the hood from something. All 4 tires flat, just destroyed. Guy tells us his girlfriend did it, and that his ex-girlfriend is mad because he has a new girlfriend. Go over to ex-girlfriend's apartment. Same apartment complex. Eviction notice on the door. Ex-girlfriend claims she has no idea. Doesn't know who did it. We all know she did it. Ex-girlfriend explains this guy left her and his 4 kids and ran off with the neighbor chick. He stopped paying the power, gas, rent, etc. without telling her. She comes home today to find out bills haven't been paid and that they're getting evicted. She had quit her job last because he was a controlling douche and didn't like her working. She just recently started working again. I kind of feel bad, but she still did something illegal, so we're going to investigate further. Go back to talk to the car owner again. Guy's mad we didn't arrest her, and is now pissing me off. Just being a jerk. I tell him we're going to contact the rental office and look at some cameras. I mention that his kids are getting evicted. Condescending, self-centered jerk corrects me and tells me only 3 of the 4 kids are his, and that it's not his problem. Those are her kids, and she needs to take care of them. We, of course, had words. He threatened to complain. Never did or hasn't yet. I'm not going out of my way to investigate further. I'm sure a detective will get around to it in a few weeks. Too bad I know from previous calls the cameras at his apartment complex only retain video for about 3 or 4 days. Oh, sorry about your car, man. Last one. If people want to check out, then let them check out, like the Mattel. Yeah, I know. Last one. Number 21, Desperate Times. Posted from Redditor Monster316. Or Monster E316. A lady wanted us to come out and investigate because she believes that while she was out, 2 people broke into her home and shit in her toilet. Just one of them, though. The other was acting as a lookout. Didn't really delve into that one. Yeah, and I'm really surprised that made it into an article. I'm really, really surprised that made it into an article. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, so that's gonna cut it short here. All right. So if any of my Patreon patrons are listening, I did upload some backlogged audio, just 3. I don't want to overwhelm my patrons yet. But there's a lot. There's quite a few. I think it's around 20, so I don't want to do it all at once. And then I can actually catch up and do some fresh. If I can't get to record something by tomorrow night, we're going to live stream again either tomorrow night or Sunday. So Saturday or Sunday we'll live stream again. but I don't know where the best. Should I put it post in community? I'll post on community and then I'll post it on Instagram too, so you guys, whoever's listening back, can get a chance to come and join the party or whatever. Anyway, I'm glad you guys came and listened, and I've missed talking to you guys. Hopefully, I entertained you a little bit on this Friday afternoon / evening, depending on where you are in the world. Peter, I know you're on the other side of the planet for most of the people that are here. There's only 3 people listening, so. And me. All right, so. I'm glad I was able to inform you guys about Tank, and I won't be a stranger. We will be live streaming much more, and videos are coming as well. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'm really glad you came, and I hope you guys have a good day until we live stream again. And on that, I'm gonna say bye, and yeah, that's funny. All right. You guys have a good day, and bye. Bye. Bye.